Watopian Weekly.
Let's talk about Zwift.
But you always talk about Zwift. Season 3.
Welcome to Watopian Weekly, Season 3, Episode 7, the podcast for Zwifters, cyclists, and everyone else. Each week, we are here to discuss all things Zwift, life, and beyond. My name is Dustin. Here she is, ladies and gentlemen. The lady with all the necessary motivational tips to keep us winners despite our finish positions. The lady who's helped me stay clean and the rubber side down on my latest gravel race. I didn't crash. I was really scared, actually. And thanks to Gina. I appreciate that. Gina, you gave me some really good tips and I followed them really well. The star of Teen NL, Gina! Gina, how are you?
Thanks, Dustin. Doing well.
Oh man, we have some stuff to talk about because man, that was very scary, and I kept on thinking like, what would Gina do? What would Gina do? What would Gina do? Because there was some, and we'll talk about that. Because yes, it was very
you
scary.
make these lyrics more difficult every week for yourself, right?
I know. I need to
Easy, man.
I need to do something that rhymes next time. Next time I'll do a rhyme. I think yeah, I can do it. Okay. Next time. And if you have a complaint about the ladder leagues, or if maybe you've played X-Wings in some team in ladder, here's the man who's in charge of the whole thing. He's in charge of the whole ladder league for Coalition. The man who can eat 24 donuts without throwing up, wears sunglasses indoors with his collar popped. The man who I'm proud to call my teammate, Josh. Woo, Josh, welcome. How are you?
Woohoo! Yeah, doing well. Yeah, it's always sunny inside, so I gotta keep the sunglasses on.
It's always sunny in Michigan. You know, and it is funny though, like how many people are tired of you of racing and losing against X-Wings, huh?
Hopefully all of them. We did lose this week though, sadly.
Oh, we don't have to talk about that.
Yeah, that's water under the bridge.
Yeah, right. Those are riders over the JWB bridge. So yeah, absolutely. So this week, everybody, thank you everybody for being here. Thank you for listening. We have a lot to talk up. First off, we're going to start with our weekly catch up, and then we're going to go over ZRL and some other races that are happening. Yeah, let's talk about our weekly catch up. I know I've been busy, but Gina, how have you been doing? How's your week been going?
Oh, downs and then ups for some reason. So I started FRR. Shout out to everybody finishing it
Tour
today
France.
as we're recording.
Yeah.
But I had to stop. I think after race 2 already, I think I pushed myself a little bit too much on those first 2 races, and my body was just telling me, nope, that's not going to work for me. Also did a horrible job on that Sunday with the Sunday Race Club on my whoosh. So, you know what? Listening to your body apparently works because on Tuesday, I did quite okay in ZRL. Horrible quote, by the way. And then I just did some easier trainings for the rest of the week because I wanted to be good today for the Sunday Race Club on my whoosh. It's actually, I think when it comes to racing, I needed to get used to the platform. I personally still prefer Zwift, but I think the ladies' competition on my whoosh on Sunday is just amazing. And I won today very unexpectedly. The final climb was way more punchy than I expected because, well, please don't listen to what I'm saying now, people. I've got a weakness.
Yeah.
And that weakness is steady power. Like that's my weakness. I can punch.
Wow,
and
really?
My FTP is actually higher if it's a punchy thing that I can do than if I need to do the steady power. And the climb turned out to be very punchy, like the final climb. Yeah. So even though it was about 6 kilometers upwards, you got some rest in between, which worked out well for me.
You
Nice.
you said unexpected win, but didn't last time we recorded you said
Yes.
you won too, so it's becoming an expectation.
Yeah, but last time the climbs were about like 1 to 2 kilometers. It was the Zurich course, so
Oh.
I knew I could do it well on a 5 minute power. Today I was expecting like a 15-minute effort, and it turned out to be punchy in the end.
So like 5 minutes broken up though. Yeah, I see what you
Yeah,
mean.
yeah, maybe a little bit, yeah, maybe even shorter because it was like flat thingies in between, and
So
yeah,
so
no,
is that
it was unexpected, Joshua. Also because last week I left everything on the course and I failed miserably, miserably. Yes, that works. Um,
but do you feel like do you when you're doing these climbs, do you feel like I've got 5 minutes, I have to do this, or are you taking in the everything like okay, I'm going up the hill now, or I guess when I'm doing this, I don't think about like I only have 5 minutes to do this. I just have to put out 5 minutes of power because I think of that's 5 minutes of pain. But is that how you're thinking about it when you're doing this?
I
Or
I always overanalyze before I start.
okay,
But then when I start racing, I don't even look at my numbers anymore and I just go on feeling.
okay,
Um, Actually, today after the race, it told me that I upped my FTP, and I was super surprised and immediately also a little bit scared because I'm just finding my footing in my whoosh and cat 3 and leaving
mm.
everything out on the course every week, and then new FTP. Oh my God, are they gonna cat me up or not?
Oh man,
So yeah, we'll see though. I mean, if it comes, I'll wear it as a badge of honor and struggle in the next category, I
yeah,
suppose.
Hey, congrats on the bump.
yeah, that's awesome.
Yep. But yeah, I'm getting closer and closer to the FTP that I had before I actually got ill. So
All
apparently,
right,
like I said, listening to the body and
yeah,
just consistently training again is getting me back up to speed quicker than I had anticipated, actually. Yeah.
yeah. I
Awesome.
agree. I agree. Especially listening to the body. I've been doing the same thing. Yeah, it's tough. What about you, Josh? What have you been up to?
Well, this week ZRL on Tuesday. Man,
Yeah.
I gotta say the pre-race was just a complete disaster for me. Like even prepping for the race. So I was trying to like fumble around and do a couple things with my setup and then knocked my PC on the concrete floor of the basement.
Oh,
The case just like blew up everywhere and was like scrambling to fortunately nothing broke, but
yeah.
was trying to reorganize the setup up until the race, and then thought I had an internet dropout during the race,
Yep.
and sauce was all wonky. But the race was tough as expected, right around the hour mark for me, and was
Yeah.
happy with the result, finishing I don't know, towards the middle of the second half, and was happy with that. So despite all the nonsense ahead of the race, ended up being okay, about what I expected. And then Friday had a nice ladder race against ATP Adrenaline 4v4 on Tire Bouchon, I think it's called, for France, where we just did the first 18 kilometers of the course, which is basically petite KOM on the lead in.
Oh
So
man.
it's pretty much just straight up right away and then straight back down and flat for the rest of the race, and ended up about, I think it was two of us and three of them at the crest of the climb, and then we just were playing defense, repeated attacks that they were putting on, and man, really just pushed to the limit. And we had a really good DS, Julie Simmons, who was really encouraging us. I probably would have dipped out a long time before because I think we were covering like six or seven attacks, and I was spent. Um, Made it to the sprint, but had absolutely nothing left and ended up losing. But it was a good match for sure. And
Wow.
then did a Sunday, got the 100-mile badge
Yeah, we're gonna
out of the
talk about
way.
that. We're gonna
Yeah,
talk about that too.
yeah,
Gina,
we'll put a pin in that one.
yeah, Gina, do you have the 100-mile badge on Zwift?
I think so.
Oh man,
I can check, but yeah, I think so. I think it was one of the very long courses to get a route badge on, and then I made it into the 100 miler.
Well, did you? I don't know if you know what Josh did, but he just did around this around the volcano. Let's talk about it now, Josh.
Oh.
You went just around the volcano. It's only like 5 miles, right? So it's like 10 kilometers or something.
Yeah, it's like 10, 12 kilometers. So it's just like over and over and over again.
Well,
I had planned to just do 100 kilometers.
which would be 10 laps. 10 laps.
Yeah,
of
which would
that.
be 10 laps,
Yeah.
and then
That's
it's like,
doable.
all right. Yeah, I was like, all right, I feel fine. I might as well just commit at this point.
Oh my
And
gosh.
yeah,
Did
massively boring, but
yeah, what did you do the whole time?
I think I said that on Discord. Like, this just sounds like a bad idea because it gets so boring.
Yeah.
Entirely boring. Like, would not recommend. But
Just that course or doing that at all?
yes.
Okay. Well,
both of those things.
Did you watch TV while you're doing it, or?
No, I honestly was just like screwing around on, well, as you guys know, was just screwing around on Discord the entire time, just trying to make the time pass. So it ended up being about 4 hours, 22 minutes or something like that. So
Wow.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like that was my first century too. And I feel like doing that in real life, it would take me a lot longer because there's no way I'd average 22 point whatever miles an hour by myself solo. So getting the benefit of the draft is nice, but yeah, it was very boring. Will not be doing that again. Check that off the list, and that's that.
Well, I was gonna ask you what you're doing next weekend because I wanted to do one. I was gonna ask if you would join me.
Well, I just
I'm
said,
just kidding.
I was gonna say I just said no, but if you wanted me to do it, it's like, all right, well, I'm so easily convinced.
Yeah.
Oh, Dustin, you signed up for something now.
No. Actually, I'm busy. I'm sure I have something to do.
You're sick that day, right?
Yes, right. I can feel it already. It's coming on. Actually, I still have to do a century too, and that was my goal for this year. And then we were this summer I was gonna do it, and then. I don't know. One thing led to another, and I started prepping for this gravel race here. Which, if we can pivot to this,
let's hear it. Let's hear about your week.
Oh my gosh, the old-fashioned gravel race, and this has got to be one of the so it's oldfashionedgravel.com, and if you get a chance to do this, you're in the Midwest sometime. Anybody listening, come to it. They even gave out stickers. Check that out. That's a sticker right there. I don't know if you can see it or not, but it says old-fashioned gravel. Yeah, and it's super cool, and it was run so well. Like I felt like I was at a really high I don't know, high value event or something like that. I mean, I've been to lots of races, and some of them are, I don't know, some are better than others. Those you guys have probably been through that stuff too. But
some are more well organized.
Yeah,
for sure.
So this was super well organized, and that makes a huge difference. And even like while we were getting there, like I got there, the lady I live with who smells so nice, and my daughter dropped me off because it was only 6 miles from my house, and I wanted to ride my bike there, but it was cold in the morning, and I was like, well, not that I was worried about the cold, but I just didn't want to have to like store all my ride with all my gear there and then find a place to stash it and then remember to get it later, or something. So
you don't want one more thing to worry about.
Right. So so she drove me there, and then I got out and got my bike and everything ready, and then they left, and so then I just hung out with some people that I knew. But one of the I gotta say, one of the first things is like one of the guys who beat me, Jamie. He's a really great guy. He's so fast. He and I were together for a long time on this ride, and we'll talk about that in a second. But he's like, have you seen the porta potties? I said, no. What? He's like, they're amazing. And I'm like, come on. How could a porta potty be amazing, right? Because Gina, is that what they call porta potties there in the Netherlands, or what do they call them? Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, I think they're called the Dixie or something like that.
I like that. I like that name. So it's like, like a big blue thing, and you go to the bathroom and then come out, right? Yeah. So I was like, okay, well, I'm like, where are they? I don't even see where they are, because usually they're like, lined up. You have like 20 of them, right? And it was this trailer. It was a trailer that was, there was women's on one side and men's on the other side. And you go in, there's an in and an out, and you go in, and there was like actual stalls. Like it was like a hotel bathroom in there. I mean, it was like they had running water, flushing urinals and toilets and everything. I know I'm gushing about the flushing, but it was
that's like yeah, your race is going to be well supported.
yeah.
If you roll into porta potties like that, let's be real.
Well, and then I get out and I was just like, Jamie was right. Those are really nice porta potties. I never thought I'd ever say that in my entire life, because usually porta potties are not that nice. You hold your breath and you try not to breathe the whole time, and you're like, there's no hand sanitizer in here. Oh my gosh, then you just open the door and breathe. Oh gosh. Oh man. I've had bad porta potty experience. But anyway, so we get through the porta potty. Okay, fine. This is on last Saturday. Okay, this is why we didn't record on Sunday this last week. It's all because of me. I was fine. But there was others that were not that fine. Two guys that I know. There's this huge downhill, and that's the one where I was channeling Gina the whole time. I had her ringing in my ears because it was a very, very scary, very fast downhill, like 35 miles plus. I don't know how many kph that is, but it's a lot. And we're going down really fast. One of the guys I know, he landed on his face, and he got bucked by a washboard, landed on his face, and has to have facial reconstruction surgery. Really bad. Yes.
Yeah, that's rough.
Yeah. So hopefully Phil's okay. And then another guy I know, Jim. This guy does like 9,000 miles a year, and he's so strong and everything, and he's just been in absolute wonderful form. And then same thing down that downhill, but so the first guy, Phil, he crashed towards the bottom, and then Jim crashed towards the top, so they didn't really see each other. But and then Jim broke his collarbone, so he has to get his collarbone screwed and pinned. So my thoughts go out to Jim and Phil for that. But that descent though. I was thinking about Gina the whole time, because she's like, one of the things you said, Gina, was to not get too close to somebody, and I am so thankful that you said that, because normally on a downhill you get behind somebody on a road downhill and stuff like that, but I was like, no, I'm gonna ease back. I can catch these people if I need to, which I did when it got down to the bottom. But because it was scary, it was sketchy. There was chunky gravel, and it was.
Yeah, you want to see what happens before you and be able to react. At least that helps me, especially I looked it up, over 50 kilometers an hour on that downhill. That's a lot, especially on gravel.
Yeah. Yeah, because and like the guys that crashed, I mean, there were some of my friends. They were on the 60-mile route, and I was on the 40-mile route. But they stopped to help Phil, and you can't just stop. You have to slow down, because if you just lock up your brakes, you're gonna crash. Because it's all the gravel. So like it took them like 100 yards to stop, and they had to go back and climb up there and everything to get him and everything. But oh my gosh, so but I think they're both doing better, so that's good. But getting back to this race, so I was they were starting. It was just kind of a neutral rollout for about a kilometer or so, and and so I was like, well, I'm up in the front. I'm going to stay in the front. So we just got into two lines, and I was in the front. I was in the top 10 for a good probably 10 miles, and I was feeling good, and I was just staying with everybody, and then like somebody attacked off the front, and I'm like, okay.
Was the pace pretty hot for the first 10K?
Yeah,
or pretty reasonable.
Yeah, it was probably 10K. You're right, probably not 10 miles, but 10 miles in my head, but probably 10K. So it was good, but it wasn't like people were not going fast enough. So I was like, we are not going fast enough. We're gonna get caught. So I went out to the front and I started pulling, because I was like, we got to go faster or we're going to get caught, which was probably the bad move, because I burned almost all my matches. I felt they're making distance between us and the chasers. I don't know. Is that a bad idea, Gina?
I mean, it depends. Is there time to recover in wheels, or were you the only one pulling?
So it was.
Were you working together, right?
It was pretty much me and one other guy pulling for our group, and there was a group that I was like second group on the road at this point, and so then I was like, we got to catch those other guys, because. So I bridged that, so we got up, and that pretty much burned all my matches, which was a bad deal.
I mean, I've been in this situation, and at some point I was like, yeah, but it's not just up to me. So then I really actively took a pull. and then went all the way back to the group. But that turned out to be a wrong move as well, because at the back of the group, it's actually not as comfortable as at the first half of the group.
Right.
So, what's right? Probably whatever your legs tell you in that race is right.
Oh.
Yeah, I mean, I'm kind of the opinion that, if you look at your own abilities and you're like, okay, my chances of, winning the whole thing is probably out of the question. But if you can help your overall finishing position by bridging that gap and staying front group for longer, if you inevitably peel off from that group, I mean, you'll have quite the gap on the next group. So I don't know. In hindsight, I don't think that's bad play at all.
I was going through all this in my head too, and so I pulled everybody back, got together, and then there was like one more climb, and that was one of those just like 2 or 5% climb things, and all my matches were burned, and I just watched them right away, and I was just like, this is it, this is when I lose the race, because I was like, do I try and put in more effort when I'm already depleted, or do I just kind of roll and keep going? So I chose to roll. I didn't give up, but they just were going faster because So we get through all that, and then anyway, I ended up by myself for a long time. But this route was incredible, beautiful bluff lands of this area around the Mississippi and everything, Mississippi River, and I could see like a couple ridges behind me, like just plumes of smoke or of gravel dust in the air, and I'm like, oh man, I'm gonna get caught. But I'm like, I was trying not to get caught. But it's when you're riding by yourself, there's no one telling you that you need to go faster except for yourself, so it's easy to slow down. So anyway, but I was just watching this cloud get closer and closer and closer to me, and then finally I got caught, but that was good because I had someone to ride with. So then that guy and I rode for a long time, and then anyway, long story short, which it is a long story, sorry, I survived. I was so happy. I didn't crash. I was very lucky for that, and kept the rubber side down like Gina suggested, and I got 17th out of I think 40 or 50. So I felt
that's a solid result.
I felt pretty good about that. Yeah, thanks. And I've been prepping for this. I've been doing extra ab workouts and everything. I did 20 push-ups. Not all at once, but I did that, and then because you never know if you have to lift up your bike, and then I've been doing lots of training for this. So now this whole week, like what you were saying, Gina, about listening to your body, I've been feeling like I don't want to do anything, because I need to relax a little bit, right? So like my alarm went off at 5 a.m. to work out or to do a workout that I had scheduled, and I just said no. I need to rest, right? So I need to rest. So yeah, and but then go ahead, Josh.
What was your so what did you end up having for your setup for the race? Like, okay, so for tires, all that good stuff. Yes. I'm here to hear the deets.
So I use my Trek Domane SL6, which is a road bike, but it's said that you can do gravel on it, and this course was pretty well suited for that. I wanted to be more aero as I could, because there was nothing but headwinds. Oh my gosh, it was horrible for that. But I went with it's a Bontrager GRX1, I think it is, or something like that, GX1 for the front, which is a 700 by 400, and I ran that at 40 psi, which was maybe a little too much, and 40 psi with tubeless, and then the rear was the Bontrager Girona Race Shop Limited RSL. I got that one, which that's a completely other story, which I wasn't supposed to get that tire, but like by some way I got this special tire, which was awesome too, by the way. And that's only 38. I had to get 38 because the 40 was just too close to my derailleur in the back, and with all the chunky gravel, I didn't want to get anything caught in there. So that was awesome, and that was about 42 psi, which I think was maybe too much. It's hard to tell because the gravel varied so much, if that makes sense, right? Mm-hmm. So yeah, so some of it was really chunky, some of it wasn't. So I don't know, Gina, what do you usually run for psi? Stuff like that.
It's so dependent on what you're doing, but yeah. I think I made the mistake, or more often make the mistake, of going too hard instead of going too soft as well.
Yep.
So that was what I was immediately thinking, like, this is exactly what I do. I usually go with too much in.
Yeah. same here because I don't want the punctures. And then also there, what was funny is like that's one guy, the guy who won. I know his name's Austin, and I ride with him. He's super fast, and he was great. And he's like, well, how much air should we have in our tires? Like he had never done this before, and he's just one of these guys, just a machine, right? And anyway, and I like felt his tires, and like, oh man, that's a lot of air in there. And then like he squeezed mine, and is like, really? And then like everybody was squeezing each other's tires. It was hilarious. Like, well, how much do you have? Well, I don't know, this much. It's like,
But you know what? It also depends on how heavy the rider is and the rest of the setup. And it's very personal.
Yeah.
You have a 2x then, right?
Yeah, I did. I did run 2x,
bike?
and I was in my big ring for a lot of it. Yeah, sorry about that. Yeah, I didn't finish the setup, and I continued with the road shoes and road pedals. And I know Gina had suggested to switch to the SPDs, and I was going to, but then I was like, if I do that, I'm going to. There's one super heavy climb that I would be tempted to walk. And so I didn't do it. So I stayed. So I didn't get off my bike at all, except for the aid stations.
Nice one.
I skipped the first aid station, like we had talked about, and just filled up at the second aid station, which I'm so thankful that I did, because it was hotter than I expected, and I only did bottles. And then when I went to go fill up my water bottle, I'm like, oh my gosh, these are both almost empty. So.
Oh yeah, that would have been.
Yeah,
that would have been.
But then you did it perfectly, right?
Right.
So,
Right. Yeah. I got caught at the aid station, but that's okay. And then, it was all right. It was better to have water than to have blown up and be dehydrated.
I mean, if you didn't have the water, you would have lost more.
Yeah. Oh man,
100%.
everything was every time I licked my lips, which wasn't that often, but I guess I don't know. That's weird to say, but all I could taste was salt. That was it, just salt. It was so weird.
Hey, you were working.
Yeah, man, it was tough. Oh man. Okay, so sorry. Enough about me and my bodily secretions. Let's go on to something else. Why don't we talk about what we're going to talk about? So, FRR Tour France, like Gina had alluded to right there, that is incredible. And anybody who's doing the Tour de France, way to go. Then that was I really wanted to do it. And the next one is going to be the Tour Britannia, which is on November 1st, and
Yep.
registration should start on October 14th. So that's
Tomorrow.
Tomorrow. We're recording this on Sunday, October 13th. Yeah. So you've got some time to train and everything. That is also going to be a tough thing. So if you haven't done it, you should definitely do it. Right. It is the hardest thing. Josh, have you done a FRR besides the one the going up the Ven Top? That was really hard.
Yeah, I did the one at the beginning of 2024, and that's the only one I've done. And it was tough.
Yeah.
It was as advertised.
As advertised, absolutely.
Yes.
It is the hardest thing. It's got to be. It's the hardest thing on Zwift, I think, right? Yeah.
Yeah, just going back to back, putting it all out there day after day is, after your 6th or 7th race in a row, yeah, your legs are just noodles.
I mean, next one I think is also better when it comes to the overlap with ZRL, so you can actually have a proper rest day.
Oh,
And it's also a little bit more punchy. It will suit me better. I don't know. I've learned so much about myself and my body during these FRR tours because I've done several now. I'm a big fan. I was really sad that I actually overdid it last week to have to quit. I usually even if you're not competing for GC or polka dots or sprint jerseys or whatever, just riding this thing for a whole week, it's something to be immensely proud of after you finished it, I think.
Yeah. And it's got to be the closest thing to like a what it really feels like to be in the pro peloton. I mean, we're still going to our jobs every day too. Like they don't have that, and we don't have any massages. My masseuse is called Theragun, but just that's all I got. But man, it is impressive. So yes, listeners, if you haven't done it, Rich Vale does a great job with that and with all the results and everything too. And I think if do we know if the next one will be will have like just drop-in races? Can you just do like one stage or something like that? Do we know that?
Well,
Probably.
this one did too. I mean,
Okay.
you can always like jump in as
Okay.
a tourist, I think
Yeah.
they call
That's-
them.
Yeah, you just need to be sure to be signed up before the first race actually starts, or maybe
Okay.
before the second race starts.
Okay.
I think the idea is before the first race starts,
Yeah.
and then you can also jump in for one or two. I think it's highly appreciated if you do come in as a tourist, that you don't affect the outcome for the GC contenders and the polka dots and whatever. But I don't think it's an official rule either. But I mean, that's just proper conduct, right? To not
Right. Yeah.
mess with the rest of the race if you're there as a tourist.
Yeah.
Yep, use your brain.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I mean, these are all intense, distances too. I mean, the first one is a ITT, which is just 16 kilometers. That's doable. But then you start getting up to 40.
Unless you go at full speed, because
Yeah,
if
right,
you do
yeah.
that 16 kilometers at full speed, I mean, I was in the hurt locker for
Oh,
that
yeah.
one already.
Yeah, yeah, and it's on Champs-Élysées in Paris, which has that dip under the under the overpass or whatever, or over the underpass or whatever it is. That's always a killer, and that drag up to the line, that's always tough. But, yeah, so 16 kilometers. How many? That would be 2 times around. That's 2 laps, I think. Is that 2 laps? Maybe.
I don't know.
Yeah. Anyway, sorry, but
Honestly, I haven't looked at it. It's in November. I
it's in November,
usually
right.
go day by day or week by week.
yeah, because isn't it bad luck to always look at the next stage or something? I think it's supposed to be bad luck. But all right, so I won't look. I'm averting my eyes right now. Okay, well, yes, FRR, and they do have the FRR shop, so don't forget about that too. I have a really cool shirt from there that I actually wear, and I was actually in a store the other day, and some guy goes, "Hey, the red kite," and I'm like, "Yeah, the Flamme Rouge, yeah." It's really funny. So yeah, and all right, well then, shall we pivot over here to talk about some ZRL? Oh my gosh. ZRL this week. Can I? Well, all right. Let's have somebody else other than me talk, I guess. But ZRL, what'd you guys think of this route this last week?
I think this is a really cool route. I would have liked to. The only comment I had is I probably would have liked to see the last scratch race we did and or the last points race that we did in week 5 swapped with this one. The other one scratch, but the route itself looks really cool. Love that Jack Cat did this because we've raced with them in ladder before, which is kind of cool that they won. Course looks cool. Definitely going to be, the first Segur is going to be challenging. We'll see whether it's steep enough to actually do some get some breakaways in. But if not, I think the repeated breakaway brays are probably not steep or long enough to create a ton of breaks, but just because it's back to back so many times, I have to imagine that there's going to be some pelotons forming there if it hasn't already been by the time the first Segur is done.
We have to talk about the title though too, about the break, because we were talking about this in the pre-production meeting about the break fast and grits, and there's lots of things in here because BRAE for the getaway bray, and then and fast, and you want to have the breakaway, and it has to be fast, and then crits because the criterium, and then grits. Now I thought as the breakfast, and in America in the South you have this thing called grits, which some of you have had grits. It kind of tastes like a corn porridge type thing that if you put maple syrup in there, it makes it taste better. But so there's that. But then Gina, how did you interpret it?
Well, I've studied psychology, still work in psychology as a teacher, and I was immediately thinking about the psychological meaning of grit, perseverance, passion, going for it's a goal. So yeah, my knowledge of breakfasts in English language apparently I do think I have to agree that makes more sense. Although I think the psychological
Yeah.
grit also kind of
Yep.
fits.
Yeah, I think so too. Yeah, I think it's got double meaning. So yeah, whoever came up with it, well, Jack Cat, I think he did a good job. Yeah, he or she did a great job with this. So yeah. And what about you, Josh? What did you think about it when you first read that?
The name is super clever,
Yeah,
honestly.
I think so too.
It's probably one of the best names that we could come up with for this.
Yeah,
So
whoever came up with Glyph Heights, come on.
yeah, that's
No, no.
boring. That's boring.
Yeah, but Breakfast and Grits. Yeah, I wanted to get more insight into how they actually did the thing. I mean, did you just like, I mean, I wonder, did Jack Cat go out and ride this and then wrote it down, or he must have? Yeah.
Yeah, but it must have, and yeah, it looks like it'll be a interesting course too for time wise. It looks
Yeah.
like it'll be what, maybe around 30 minutes, slightly above 30 minutes
Well,
is my guess.
with that Skur in there, with that's awesome because that will make I think that's gonna break up make a selection real quick. I think, right? I mean, probably.
Yeah, it's only, I think the average gradient looks like it's 3.3%. So there will be some, I mean, it is draftable in most of the spots, but not, super draftable, obviously. But
Hmm.
unless someone's gonna punch really hard up, the first one, everyone's still gonna be fresh. And I have to imagine everyone's gonna burn their matches to try and, stay with the group. So might not be a ton of Pelotons forming at the first Segura Summit, but possibly, once Breakaway Brays 4x 4 times
Oh
we
my
do
gosh.
that. Possibly once we start doing those, I'm sure there's going to be some breakaways there.
Yeah.
And don't forget about the Clyde kicker. I think it comes before the breakaway bray even,
Oh yeah,
which
that's right.
Yeah.
which is always a good punch, and
Hmm.
you can actually quite easily break a group there.
That is true.
Yeah. This is gonna be something. I'm missing this race, so I'm gonna be watching. I'm gonna watch the live stream with everybody else on Josh's live stream here. So, hopefully, shout out to Vortex. Hopefully, Vortex does well. We've got some people coming in for this. This is gonna be good. It's gonna be a great race, especially with our I know in our division there. And Gina, who are you racing for this week? On this one?
For both actually. So I'm riding for the herd in the morning, and
Okay.
then for Team NL in the evening. I decided that this round I wouldn't actually stream yet because I honestly didn't know at the start where my level would be, and I'm happy with that decision. But I think next round I should get everything up again. I'll go back to racing in the evening with the ladies, which I think is also a little bit more um, like playing the game instead
Mhm.
of just trying to hold on, which will make a nicer stream.
Yeah.
Um, and I'm starting to feel more confident again in my physical doing for Zwift racing and stuff. So yeah, that should be fun to get those up and running.
Yeah, that's awesome. I like watching your streams too, just because it's usually I can watch them during my lunch break, and then I can find out what's going to happen for the race later during the day. So it's always nice to have a friendly face and watch you suffer on that.
Yo.
What do we think about? It seems like ZRL is taking a page out of the DRS playbooks, where it seems like we have a lot of races that start right uphill. Or is that just me? It seems like this last round has been a lot of climbing right away, or maybe it's just me. Maybe it's just the nature of the routes that we've had.
Yeah, I mean, I don't personally mind it, but it
Yeah.
is I always find it really hard to recover my heart rate when I blast out of the gate and try and keep up with these, far superior B riders.
Yeah,
My heart rate
bees,
never
yeah.
goes back down to normal. It just stays high the entire race. And even if I'm chilling in zone two for, part of whatever comes after the hill, it's just, yeah,
Mm.
my heart rate's still through the roof.
Yeah, B is all over the place. Like if you were to look at the velo scoring, I mean, we have people from gold like me all the way up to probably ruby and sapphire.
Yeah, I've seen some rubies in there too. So yeah.
Do you ever look at
I
that,
find
Gina?
it interesting though.
Yeah.
Maybe you have an opinion about this because you're talking about Velo score. We now have the
Yes.
Zwift Racing score as well, and I think
Yes.
everything's actually quite promising. But I did this FRR individual time trial on yesterday on Saturday, with the whole purpose of just spinning the legs, doing it as an easy ride, but still getting to have the FRR feeling and being in the ride with them. But obviously, I just said I was treating it as a sort of like a recovery ride.
Yeah.
You should look at my Velo score now and see how far it's dropped. Just because I purposefully rode in zone 2 and lost.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah, I find that the road downhill comes a lot faster than the road uphill.
Yeah, it's harder to get back up after you've gotten down. Yeah, I haven't won any races, so mine is still staying at gold, and I don't know. What are besides FRR? What else is using the Zwift Racing score too? Right? Are there a lot?
I mean, Ladder
does
uses it. I don't really know what else beyond that. I know they have like some partners. Obviously, DRS used to use it, but
yeah. Well, and this is a great segue, Gina. You're amazing at this. Talking about next time, we're going to have Tim from Zwift Racing app. He's agreed to come back on and to talk about the Velo score and then also about the new Zwift Racing score. And I'm curious to see how, because Zwift Racing League is supposedly going to start using this. I don't know when that's going to happen. Do you think it's going to happen this next round? I think
next year, if I looked at Facebook and read some Discord things.
Okay.
I think it's also difficult that actually Zwift Racing League is one of the biggest racing leagues that there is on Zwift. But their races are not used for either the Zwift Racing score or the Velo score, which I think is also something interesting. So I think I've got to make sure to have some time to come on next week and then ask some questions.
Absolutely. And everybody listening, if you have any questions for Tim or something, send us an email or get on the Discord server. We'll put a link on there. So questions for Tim so we can. So if you have something you want to ask him, and he's always really good at he's super open and everything too. So if you have any questions for him, you can even get on the Zwift Racing app server too and always ask that too. There's lots of great answers on there too. So, but yeah, send us a message and we'll ask. Yeah, it is going to be interesting because if whenever I do a race that's using the Zwift Racing score, I end up in the upper category. I think my score is 455, so I end up in like the 430 to 500 or whatever it is. So I'm always at the lower part of that, and I just get demolished almost every single time. But that's okay because I am improving, and I'm okay with that.
I have also one where I had signed up, and then I looked at Zwift Power and looked at who I was up against, and it was like this is not going to be fun.
Yeah.
So I didn't start it and I chose something different to do.
Yeah. Because how would they do that with because it kind of comes down to, instead of being the A, B, C, D, E category, there's almost more categories, right? Because you almost have the B split into two groups, or A like high and low, and then B high and low, C high and low. So for Martin at ZRL, he probably doesn't want to use it because all of that.
Doesn't the whole system also depends on people racing with it and then it adjusting appropriately? But I think there's a couple of things that you need to, like assumptions that need to be met for it to work.
Yeah, because with that, because of the way the scores work, you could, if you say this was used for the next round. I mean, we're not saying that it is, but say it was used for the next round. That would be a really big headache to say that, because instead of your team being just a B team, now you've got like B plus and B minus, for example. I don't know what they would call it, and then you'd probably go between the two, right? Because there'd be maybe 1 week you'd have to go up to the next one, and then you'd come back down because you'd get demolished, and then. Oh
Yeah,
boy, that's
I've seen that be one of the criticisms of this new scoring system is like, oh hey, I'm a C and there's like A people and I think to be while that might be a reasonable thing to be concerned with, I do think the mentality shift just needs to happen that like, hey,
mm,
we just need to part ways with thinking of this in terms of A, B, C, D, and just kind of reframe how you think of racing with this new system. It's a step in the right direction, right?
right.
Obviously,
And
like there's going
also
to be growing
obviously
pains.
obviously I should have just raced that race and let myself get demolished because that's how the system learns as well about my
Yeah,
racing score. But yeah, I didn't
that's
feel
true.
like it. But I think that's something that a lot of people actually have the feeling like I don't want to race in this new system. Well, if all of us that don't want to race in the new system, the system is also not going to learn and get better at. It needs data. That's basically what I'm trying to say. It
Yeah,
needs
Right.
data, so we should race with it
yeah.
and
The
keep
couple
an
of
open mind.
the
Yes,
couple
that's
of
right.
Zwift Racing Score races that I've participated in, granted they've been pretty small fields, but I've seen you know B, C, and D all racing in the same
Yeah,
pen, and it was pretty close. Like everyone was kind of close and in the mix for the whole time. So
yeah. I still feel like the Zwift Racing app score is has been the best. Those have been the best
yeah,
races that I've
that's
been in.
certainly I think the most superior method
Yeah,
of superior and fair method of scoring in my opinion as well.
yeah. So,
But then you
mm,
do have, for instance, the FRR, which are longer races, and a
hmm
lot of the Swift races are shorter races.
yeah.
So I just told you about my weakness, keeping up my power for longer,
I'm
which
writing that
means
down.
that
Writing.
for
Yeah, write that
FRR,
down.
I was categorized quite high, but then knowing that I wouldn't have a chance at GC or whatever because I know that the ladies I was racing with at that
Mm,
point super strong as well, and they could actually I think most of them could just get me on the sheer thing that these are longer races than we're
yeah,
used to.
yeah,
Oh
yeah.
man, I just looked at your Swift Racing score, Gina, and yeah, you weren't kidding. That really just tanked
I
your
wasn't
score
kidding.
by like by like 70 points or something
Oh
like that.
man.
Oh my
Yeah.
Lord. That's
Yeah.
crazy.
Well, yeah.
Yeah,
That
and actually, I just want to remove that race because I know that it wasn't fair, likely,
mm,
but the system needs to remove it
yeah.
because that's just way under what I can do.
Right. Oh man. That and it. Yeah. Boy, that it really is interesting though how that's going to work and everything. And you are right; those FRR rides they're longer than what we're used to. Because I mean, we're probably looking at like an 35 minutes to an hour for ZRL stuff, and everyone's fairly comfortable with that. But which I think those have also gotten longer too. That used to be when you would do ZRL, you would have A and B would have different distances between C and D, and now it just seems like they're all the same. So
It's
yeah,
funny. I also heard some stuff in the community about that, and some people are totally happy that C and D get to do the same length and the same thing, whilst others are completely not happy with it because it takes them so much longer.
right,
Oh
yeah,
my God. Whatever you do, I think there's always people in favor and always people
yep.
that are not gonna like what you're doing.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah. Yeah, I don't mind it. I don't know. It's I feel like it's like let's just go through it even though I know I'm going to be I'm going to be last or second to last or sixth from last, whatever. Still got to do it. And
I
the
mean,
next
it's both
go ahead.
both things are fair though too, right?
Yeah.
I mean, I appreciate that, C and D folks are expressing their opinion and giving the race organizers feedback. I think that's important. But also, of course, you still have the option to just not race it if
Right.
you don't want to do that. I mean,
I think that
both things can
happened.
exist and be true.
Yeah.
I think that happened for some teams though, where people were like I'm not gonna race that one, and they ended up having real troubles to
Yeah.
field a
Yeah,
team
yeah.
that wouldn't get DQ'd.
Oh
Um,
yeah, I mean, I
and
get it. If you're like, if you don't want to race for like 90 or more minutes, I
Yeah.
mean, That's fair. That's fair feedback for the race organizers.
Yeah, see,
But I think we need to realize that sometimes we need to try something new, and
mhm.
sometimes it works out really great, and sometimes it doesn't. And we should just be happy that people are trying to improve, and be very grateful to many of the organizers who also
Oh
don't
yeah.
get paid for a lot of what they do, and
Right.
just bear with it, and when giving feedback, I don't know why, but recently I've just been reading a lot of comments that, oh, I can get quite mad about. Like, people just be happy that
Yeah.
things are organized for us,
Right.
and
Yes.
that we should
Yeah.
appreciate everything that people do, even if it ended up not working out or wasn't to your liking.
Hmm.
Just be very appreciative of what people are trying to do for you.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a good point. Like if you've never organized a race or a ride or even done a meetup and then people not show up or something like that. I mean, that's just doing a meetup and being in there in a race organizer's shoes for just a brief micro minute, it's like that you can see what it's like, and when people don't show up, like, come on, like, why can't you show up or something, or people complain about something. So it's always easy to complain, I think, right? But it's once you're in their shoes, and we also have to thank like you said, Gina, all those race organizers and stuff, the people are doing it, because I'm sure FRR, those people don't get paid for that. That's an incredible undertaking, and all the data sorting and everything. I don't know if it's done by computer or robot or just Rich Vale. Rich Vale might be a robot. Oh, there we go. Okay, so so that could be it. So it's incredible. Thank you, Gina and Josh, for being here. I think this is probably a perfect time to close the episode. We've got a lot of stuff coming in the pipeline, and I know I say that a lot, but it's true. Next episode, we're gonna get Tim from Zwift Racing Score. I know I talked about that earlier. He's gonna come on and talk about the Zwift Racing Score and the Zwift racing category score. What's it called? Zwift Racing Score.
Zwift Racing Score. Yep.
Yeah, which he's got to be upset. Did he give it that name, Zwift Racing App, Zwift Racing Score? That's pretty close, right? So ZRAP maybe. So yeah, we'll talk about that too. And then also, I have some been talking with some people about getting some industry people to come on. Most notably talking about some kit stuff too, which I think is interesting, and maybe we get into a little bit into the weeds, but I do think that is interesting. For example, I have a new kit and Josh and we were talking about this before, but the new Zwift Insider kit that they make, that Verge makes, has been great, and so I ordered another one, but not the Zwift Insider one, but it's been awesome. So we're going to get some people from inside the industry to talk about that, because there are differences between inside and outdoor kits. If you don't have an indoor kit, it's worth.
Highly recommend.
Yeah. What do you guys think? Yeah, it's good, right? The indoor
Highly
kits.
recommend. Yes.
Yeah.
It's great.
Yeah. And then I've heard that you can wear the indoor kits outside. However, mine's very see-through.
Yeah, I would not be. Yeah.
So I know there's been times
Dustin, wear it. Nobody wants to be in your wheel when you're wearing it. So you
there we
always get
go.
trapped.
That's it. No, they won't draft. They won't look up.
Hey.
They won't look up, and they'll crash. That's what you get. Yeah.
Spandex and lycra is one thing.
Oh,
See-through
man.
spandex and lycra is
Yeah.
it's maybe a bridge
No,
too far.
I'm just kidding. Please don't. Nobody wants to see everything.
Well, then, and won't you get sunburned too? Because like this is like and that would be weird.
I
to have
would
like
be.
that.
I'm like
Yeah.
hasty and just roast anytime I go in the sun.
Because you'd have like weird like sun patterns and stuff, like
If you look here, we start rambling again.
Yeah.
But if you look at, for instance, Pogacar or something, if he's wearing the white skin suit from EA, you actually see that it's a tiny bit see-through as well.
Yeah.
If it's on the hot days, so maybe they are also wearing some kind of indoor kit outdoors.
Interesting.
Just
And yeah.
the bibs, please don't.
Yeah, just normal bibs. Yeah, make sure you can't see through those. Yeah, and I wonder about when what do Pro Tour riders do? Do they wear sunblock under theirs, or I don't know. Something to ask. We'll ask.
I mean, I would be interested to see if with the kit improvement and it becoming lighter and lighter, they always have these cycling kits that they're still wearing. If they take their shirts off, right? It's
Yeah.
always like very tan and then very white. So maybe this could actually help with that issue.
Yeah, that's true. So here in America, in the Midwest, we call that a farmer tan. I don't know if you have that term or not, but so it's like where like you like it's always so funny because like when I go to the pool, which is during the summer, there's all these guys out there that are just enjoying the day, and like it looks like they're still wearing a shirt, because they're not wearing, they're I am one of those people, by the way, so it still looks like that.
I actively have several lengths of bibs and several lengths of shirts, so that for me it's more of a gradual change, and you can only see it if I put like the underarm up to my shoulder. You can see how big the difference actually is.
Oh man, that is something that we should talk about though. Like why are there different lengths? Is it more aero to cover your biceps or something? I mean, my biceps aren't that big, but they're pretty big.
You're absolutely right. We need somebody from the industry right here to ask these types of questions.
I thought you were gonna say absolutely right. His biceps weren't big, but
now the listeners can't see this, but right here, I don't know.
So Dustin, weren't you trying to close off this episode?
Oh yeah, right. All right. So, well, I would just start talking about my
my huge guns.
Yeah, my huge guns.
I just wanted to deflect the attention from your guns right there.
All right. Well, you know where the weight room is? I'll check it out. No. All right. Anyway, okay. All right. Well, you're right. Okay. Well, thank you everybody for listening to the podcast and for giving us feedback, support, and ideas for future episodes. If you have any questions or comments, please join our Discord server or send us an email. All the information is down below. Also, recipe ideas. I put up my fail-proof gluten-free waffle recipe up. And Gina, have you tried it yet? I know you don't have a waffle iron, but you could.
No, I still don't have a waffle iron.
Okay, that's
so
all right.
I haven't tried it yet. Although you did say I could use it for pancakes as well, so maybe I should do that next week and then bring back my ideas of your recipe.
I would probably half the recipe if you're going to do that, and then also add more, make it more liquidy, of course. But yeah. So that's great. And Josh, are you going to try the waffle recipe or no?
Maybe. I'm not gonna do any. I'm not gonna do any pancakes. So. Those are just inferior waffles.
Right? You're more a waffle. You're like I saw somebody a kid had a T-shirt with this. It said waffles. It says they're pancakes but with abs. It's like the ridges.
I've not heard that before.
Oh, it was so funny. But anyway, all right. Well, we'll get back to breakfast food next time after our break, fast, and crits this week. Hey-o. Okay. All right. Well, everybody have a great day. Thank you all for listening, and we'll see you in Watopia.